If you're like most agency owners, you've probably got dreams, you've got aspirations of getting to that big 100K per month. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to get there. We're in an extremely privileged and unique position. Not only is our agency doing more than 100K per month, but we also now work with over 200 other agencies, some doing 6 figures a month and some doing 7 figures and beyond every single month. So we've got a really good understanding of what it takes to get to 6 figures and beyond every single month. We've also got a really good understanding of the difference between agency owners, those that are struggling and those that are succeeding. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the difference between the two so you can do more of what works and less of what doesn't work. If you don't know who I am, my name is Laurence. I've built and scaled 2 different agencies, Laurence Marketing and now Hey You, where we help other agencies just like yourself put more appointments on their sales calendar. Make sure that you stick around to the end because there is one characteristic, one trait that all super successful agency owners share, and I'm going to be telling you exactly what that is at the end of this video. So this video, it isn't going to be some follow these exact steps because there's 1,000,001 ways to get to 100K per month. What's going to be way more useful for you is actually sharing with you some of the foundations, some of the building blocks that will take your agency to 100K per month and beyond. So let's look at a successful trait of an agency owner. And when I'm telling you these traits, both successful agency owners have these traits, unsuccessful have these traits. You can flip them on their head as well. So it works on the other side of the coin. So looking at a trait of a super successful agency owner is that they're all individuals. They have their own way of running their agency. They have their own way of dealing with their niche. Their services are not copy paste like everybody else's. So they're able to stand out in crowded markets because, truth to tell, they're not in crowded markets. Every struggling agency owner, what they do is they go on YouTube, they look at what everybody else is doing, they do the same thing, and they just do it maybe slightly differently. And you're just setting yourself up for failure. What we've seen across the board of all of our super successful clients, those that are doing 100K plus every single month, is they are different. Their messaging is different. Their services are different. Maybe their niche is different, but they have a uniqueness about them that a lot of our struggling clients that are kind of stuck in that 10K a month range, they don't have that really solid uniqueness about them. They're just very similar to so many other agencies. So making sure that inside your service, inside your business, inside your agency, that you are unique. You're not going on YouTube and just copying what everybody else is doing. You're not just seeing what other successful agencies are doing and copying them, because there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that you're unaware of that makes you think that you're doing exactly the same as these people, but you're actually not. And it's that small difference that makes all the difference. So the first trait of the super successful agency owners is that they are individuals and that they are unique. Now, looking at a unsuccessful agency owner, one thing that we see time and time again with agencies that are struggling, or not necessarily struggling, but they're just stuck at a revenue mark that they're not happy with. So they're struggling in their own minds. Whether they're financially struggling in comparison to others is probably a different story. But from their perspective, they're stuck. And one of the characteristics that we see is that they're constantly solving problems that they do not have. They are looking too far into the future and trying to predict things that might happen based on something that they might do today. And they just overwhelm themselves. They become kind of paralysis by analysis. They don't take action because there's so many things that could happen. And they're right, there are so many things that could happen. And that's the case with every single business at every single size. But they don't take the action that they need to, or they take it very slowly because they're constantly thinking about what might happen, what could happen. Well, if I do this, then this problem might happen. And if we flip the coin onto the other side, what the successful agency owners do is they just tackle what is in front of them right now, today, at this very moment. And they don't think, next week, following week. They are happy to take on a challenge and deal with the next challenge as it comes up. And that's the way that you make quicker progress as opposed to getting stuck in your own head and getting stuck in your own way by overthinking things. So that's definitely a trait that we see of unsuccessful agency owners or agency owners that are stuck. So when you're maybe sat at your desk working and you're thinking, actually check what you're thinking about and ask yourself the question, am I trying to solve a problem that currently does not exist in my agency? We have clients that, for example, say, well, I can send out this many emails or I can run ad spend for this amount, but when I get 10 clients, then I'm not going to be able to deliver the service at the same level again. It's like, okay, well, let's get to that problem and then solve that problem. Let's get you those 10 clients before we find a solution. And a lot of people, they don't take the action because they don't have the solution to problems that are 6 months further down the road. So that is a trait that we see of struggling agency owners, is thinking too much and getting in their own way. Now, another thing that we see about successful agency owners is that they stretch out their time horizon. They make decisions quickly, but they're happy with marginal gains. And this is a catch-22. When you're a small agency owner and you're trying to, cash is king and you're trying to grow, you need immediate returns. So I appreciate that this is a luxury that not every agency owner can have, but if you can start to make decisions about your agency that don't require huge financial input and you're able to stretch out your time horizon, then your future self is going to thank you. So with these super successful agency owners, agencies that are doing 100K and above, what they do is they are more than happy with marginal gains. They're happy to invest, and they, instead of looking at an investment as, am I going to get a return on my investment today or tomorrow or next week or even next month? They think, am I going to get an investment from this? Am I going to get a return from this investment over the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? And if so, they're happy to play that game. And that, as I say, is because, cash flow is always happening at an agency of that size. So there is a kind of catch-22 at play here. But if you are under 100K per month, there are still things that you can do to stretch out your time horizon. Creating content like this, for example, it doesn't pay off today, it doesn't pay off tomorrow, it doesn't even necessarily pay off next year, but in 3 years, in 5 years' time, it will pay off. So what things can you do that don't necessarily require a financial investment, that might require a time investment instead? So that is a trait of the successful agency owners, is that they stretch out their time horizon. They think much further ahead. Now, don't get that confused with that they solve problems that don't exist. That is not the case. They solve problems that are in front of them right now, but they're also thinking, is this decision going to positively impact my agency in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? So stretch out that time horizon when you're making decisions, and you're going to start growing your agency. Again, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but your future self, yourself in a year's time, 3 years, or even 5 years' time is going to be very thankful that you made that decision. Now, a trait that we see with, hey, just real quick, sorry to interrupt the video, but I just wanted to let you know of our brand new free course that we have just launched that takes you through how to book more appointments on your sales calendar through cold email. The course is completely free, comes with a free community as well, where there's live calls where you can ask me anything, get your questions answered. The second link in the description is going to take you to the free course, as I say, completely free, and it's going to walk you through how to get success from your cold email campaigns. So I will leave it there and enjoy the rest of the video. Agency owners that are struggling or not where they want to be is that they don't like stepping out of their comfort zone. And this can kind of manifest itself in many different ways. It can be from something obvious and simple, like they don't want to pick up the phone and do some cold calling, reach out to prospects, do some form of outreach. And then it can get more kind of in the weeds of their business, around maybe offer creation. They're scared of putting their money where their mouth is with their services. They're scared of increasing their prices. They just don't like change too much. They don't like to put things on the line and see what will happen. And again, flipping the coin over to the other side, successful agencies are constantly out of their comfort zone because, as the saying goes, growth happens outside of your comfort zone, and agencies are definitely no different. You're going to see the most growth happen when you're doing things that you don't necessarily want to do. Nobody wants to pick up the phone and cold call. Nobody wants to, guarantee results that they're scared they're going to be able to achieve for clients. Nobody wants to do that sort of stuff, but it's that extra stuff that most agency owners aren't willing to do that's going to make all the difference. So stepping out of your comfort zone or not stepping out of your comfort zone is really going to impact the growth of your agency. So that's a trait, a characteristic that we see quite often in a lot of agency owners that are struggling to get by. Now, another trait of successful agency owners is that they trust processes and that they're not afraid to listen to, buy, invest in expertise. So quite often we see struggling agency owners and they challenge everything. They say, well, what if this doesn't happen? What if this happens? What if this? And again, their head is getting in the way of their business growth. Whereas successful agencies, they trust processes. They go into things and they just follow. They listen, they learn, they adapt things slightly based off their own experience, absolutely, and everybody should, but they don't question the experiences of others. So if they work with a coach, for example, and that coach has lots of experience in a particular area, they are trustworthy of that coach. They follow the process. They blinkers on and follow that process. And they see results because they're working with somebody that has got a very specific knowledge in a very certain area within that agency. So a little bit of a obscure trait, but trust comes into it an awful lot. And it does tie very closely to, not thinking too far ahead, not getting in your own way and trying to solve problems that haven't happened yet. So trying to solve problems that haven't happened yet. So that is a trait that we see of successful agency owners. And it's also a trait that we see of unsuccessful agency owners. They do the opposite. They're not trustworthy. They question everything. They challenge everything. And it gets in the way of their own growth. Now you'll start to see kind of commonalities and threads emerging between successful and unsuccessful agencies. And this trait of struggling agencies fits into that bill as well. And it's that they are thinkers, not doers. They spend their time thinking about things as opposed to doing things. Whereas successful agency owners, they are doers and not necessarily thinkers. Or they think once and then they do. And they trust the process. Whereas struggling agencies, they think and they think some more and then they overthink and they realize that if I do this, this won't work because of this, this or this that might happen in the future. And if you have that mentality, it's so easy to find problems. You're always going to find problems. Your mind is so good at finding problems and it's not very good at finding solutions. You're always going to have problems that will emerge. And if you overanalyze, overthink things, then you're just going to come up with so many different reasons as to why something won't work. And the easiest way to solve a problem is to be faced with it. It's so difficult to solve problems on a piece of paper when you don't actually have that problem staring at you in the face. When you make progress in your agency and you realize that other problems are going to happen, they're so much easier to solve and they're not as big as you might first have thought they would be. So making sure that you just do. Think for a period of time, absolutely. You need to think things through, but then do. If you're a brand new agency owner and you want to grow your agency, the best thing you can do is just sit at your desk every morning and just do outreach. You can think about all the problems that might happen with service delivery and, hiring staff and all that good stuff. But an agency is only going to grow by putting its message in front of prospects. And that's how you're going to grow your agency. And that's a really good example of doing, not thinking. So take the thinking out of the equation and just do. We always talk about revenue generating activities and making sure that you spend your day as an agency owner doing revenue generating activities as opposed to thinking about revenue generating activities. So that is a trait of struggling agencies, is that they just think too much and they don't do enough. Now at the start of the video, I talked about the trait that all successful agency owners have and the one that you should have stuck around for. So don't want to let you down, not full of empty promises. Here we go. The trait that successful agencies have is volume. They understand that running their agency, a big element of it is about volume. We recently signed the largest digital marketing agency in North America. And when I learned more about their business, I was mind blown at the volume that they do. I was absolutely shocked at what it takes to run an agency at their scale and at their level. They are definitely our biggest client. I mean, they're the biggest agency, digital agency in North America. And they have, I believe, 180 sales reps doing cold calls every single day. And that, you don't need to get to that level necessarily, but it just goes to show at the volume that is required. They have over 5,000 active clients, and it just really resonated with me and taught me a lesson at the volume that we're doing, or the lack of volume that we're doing. And the same is true for our clients. But we do an awful lot more volume than clients that are kind of stuck at lower level revenue numbers. And volume plays a huge part. So there's lots of tools, there's lots of softwares, there's lots of things you can do to increase your volume. Volume should never really be the bottleneck of an agency, because everybody's got the same tools at their disposal. Yes, not necessarily have the same financial clout as one another. However, there's lots of inexpensive tools available for agencies of all sizes to increase their volume of what they're doing. So thinking bigger, that is a trait that all successful agencies have, is that they think bigger. So take a leaf out of Cardone's book and think 10x. How can I increase my output by 10x? What can I do? Will 10x output result in 10x input? How do I get 10 times more of what I'm actually after? So they are the traits of both the successful and the struggling agencies. I hope that has helped. If you found value from this video, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, help the channel grow. And if you're wanting to put more appointments on your sales calendar and grow your agency, then click that first link in the description and I'll explain exactly how we can help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.